All right, so have you ever felt like you're being kind of nudged towards a choice you have to make, even when something feels a bit, off?
Yeah.
Well, today we're doing a deep dive into that exact feeling. And we're using, well, you might actually recognize the story. It's Jesus being tempted out in the wilderness.
Oh, yeah.
We're looking specifically at the book of Matthew, chapter 4, verses 5 through 7. And let me tell you, things get a little dramatic in those verses.
Oh, yeah. It's a really fascinating passage, that one. And it's not just like telling a story. No, it's actually showing us like a blueprint for how temptation works, even, today in our modern world.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so to set the scene, we find Jesus just finishing up his baptism and 40 days of fasting.
Wow.
Talk about being in a vulnerable state, huh?
Yeah.
And then, bam, the devil just whisks him away
Yeah.
to the highest point of the temple in Jerusalem.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's imagery, right? It's intense.
Yeah.
What do you think? What was the writer really going for here?
Well, I think that whole precarious setting, it's a powerful symbol. It's not just some casual conversation. This is a moment, like a really high stakes moment.
Right.
And it highlights the tension, right? You've got giving into, what seems like the easy path on the one hand and holding on to, what you believe in.
Okay, so let's get into the specifics of how the devil actually tries to tempt Jesus here. I mean, he's not using, like, threats or force.
No.
It's more, he gets kind of sneaky.
Yeah.
He quotes scripture, right?
Yeah, precisely. He throws out Psalm 91.11:12, which, if you look it up, talks about angels protecting you from harm.
Yeah.
And on the surface, it sounds like a promise of safety.
Yeah.
But the devil is, well, he's twisting it. You see, he's suggesting that Jesus should, like, jump off the temple and just trust that God will save him.
Oh, wow.
Like a test.
It's like he's saying, if you really trust God, then you'll take this crazy risk, which is like the ultimate manipulation tactic, isn't it? Like using something good and then you twist it to serve this selfish purpose.
Oh, absolutely. And it's something we see all the time, even today. Like, think about those messages you hear that encourage you to leap without a net.
Right.
Or, follow your bliss.
Yeah.
But they leave out the whole consequences part, or any planning.
Yeah.
It can sound inspiring, sure, but sometimes they're missing, like, a big piece, like wisdom and discernment.
So how does Jesus respond to this? I mean, he could have argued theology, right? Or even try to outsmart the devil.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He just quotes another scripture, Deuteronomy 6.16.
Mm-hmm.
And this scripture warns against testing God.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful response.
It really is. He's not getting caught up, in this trap of proving himself. He's recognizing, wait, this is manipulation. I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And he chooses to just stand firm in his understanding of God's will. He doesn't need some, like, big showy thing to validate his faith. That really resonates with me because, how many times do we feel that pressure, like, to make choices just to prove something, even when in our gut it doesn't feel right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like we're on that temple pinnacle ourselves, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Facing all those voices inside, those doubts and temptations.
Yeah, and I think that's the big takeaway here. This passage, it's not just some old story. It's like a mirror,
Yeah.
reflecting our own struggles with temptation.
Yeah.
And the sneaky ways it can get into our lives.
So what can we learn? What can we really take away from Jesus's example here?
I think it reminds us that temptation, a lot of times, it looks like something good. Or even like the right thing to do.
Right.
It shows us that we have to know, our weaknesses. What are we vulnerable to?
Yeah.
It shows us that we have to ground ourselves in principles. And we have to be careful about the messages we take in, even if it's from scripture or from some inspiring quote.
That's so true. It's like, it's not about just following blindly. It's about, like, understanding the whole context, the intention behind it, and whether it fits with, what we value.
Yeah.
It's about trusting our gut when something feels a little off, even if it's, presented as this big, huge leap of faith.
Exactly. So as you go about your day, think about this. What are your own personal temple pinnacles? Where do you feel that pull between what seems easy or appealing and what you, in your heart, know to be true?
Right.
And what are the principles that can help you in those moments to navigate with wisdom and strength?
That's great. So, think about that today. What are your own temple pinnacles? And we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye.
Yeah.